Hi, Alex.
Hi.
So we're here at AI Engineer San Francisco, and I know you have a talk tomorrow
Yes.
that will discuss if people still need to inspect their own code, read the lines of code. So I want to simplify it for business owners and people who just implementing AI technology. On which parts we can fully trust the agents and which parts we still need to inspect, not only code, day-to-day operations, let's say.
The answer there is more complex. Just one, hey, simplify this. But if I try, my recommendation is to be flexible because the model capabilities always jump. So, for example, lately we've seen for a very brief period of time that Anthropic released a model called Fable 5. And that model, when it came out, everybody who played with that model saw incredible increases in productivity. Unfortunately, the model was taken away from us by Anthropic, and so we no longer have access to that level of capability. However, it just goes to show that the new level of model capability is just around the corner. OpenAI also announced GPT 5.6 that is of similar ability of running for a longer time, completing business tasks, going through a very detailed instruction manual and completing this end to end. And because of that, giving you an answer that like, hey, this is what models can do right now is not the good answer because it always changes and it's going to change very, very soon.
So I just been to session with Anthropic representative, and they've been talking. Even Mythos and Fable also need some kind of investigation. He mentioned that even in the upgraded versions and models, you still need human there.
Yeah.
So let's simplify it because I understand you talk more to engineers, but I try to bring this technology more to businesses and people who do not touch it daily. Would you give your agent, for example, access to anything you have today? If yes, why? And if no, what you would put aside?
Look, I work for an organization called CoreWeave. CoreWeave has very strict security policies around information technology, IT security, right? So we have a strict no agent policy, regardless of model capability. They cannot take the risk or the chance that the agent, given access to everything, will get malicious, right? They don't care about whether or not, when Anthropic releases the model, Anthropic says, hey, actually, this is less jailbreakable than before, which is they always do, right? It's really hard to jailbreak Mythos. It's not that easy. Then, giving advice about a very specific thing, I say for simple tasks, access to Jira, to Asana, access to your task manager, yes. Giving access to destructive actions, like transferring money in the bank, for example, no, do not do this. There's no point. It's not going to get you as much. And there are ways to do that as well. For example, with Stripe Wallet, for example, you can give your agent a secure way to purchase stuff with a credit card, and then you as a human will approve every purchase so you'll be able to see it. Automated access? No, nothing like that. Nothing destructive, nothing that signs documents, no power of attorney for sure, right? But menial, basic tasks like administrative task or reviewing task, 100%, yes, give it. Emails, yes. I think this is my hot take. Don't sue me if you do this, okay? My hot take is nothing will happen if you give your agent an access to email that reads all incoming emails and somebody tries to fuck with it.
Yeah, of course. But today we're talking about more than one agent. Like we're talking about multiple agents and like orchestrating all this. So giving access to email is not enough. I'm talking more of platform or usage when one agent, for example, gets the information, another prepares tasks, like put them in some system like Monday or Jira, etc. And third agent basically accomplishing these tasks. So it's like whole picture.
Yeah.
So you still think that we need to limit it for sensitive information, right? Like financial operations, power of attorney, places where...
I will say it like this, okay? Progressive disclosure or progressive access to information is the best way forward. As much as these kind
What
of
do
like...
you mean progressive?
So, okay, you start with a company,
Right.
and the company has nothing. Okay, you cannot just like open access to everything and expect better things. And this is my recommendation to all of you. You need to learn with the system how it acts and reacts within given access of data, right? So if you give access to like between Jira or whatever, you'll very quickly lose your feet. So start with a small subset of accesses, and then progressively open this up more and more as you need them, looking and seeing whether or not the model does what you need.
Yeah, it makes total sense. But my personal experience, I'm jumping every week from agent to agent, from one platform to another platform, because something new comes up every week. And as you said, GPT 5.6, yesterday was Fable. And again, you need to start from the beginning, and there is a way where you can consolidate all the information, and basically all the agents can learn at the same time with your progress of your company growing and like you
So
implementing
companies that have
technology
no AI at all integrated, they need to start with
from something.
progressive permission and progressive exposure of data into the agent. You specifically, I've known you for a while, and like we looked at some of the stuff. You're like more advanced. This is why you're kind of chasing the latest and greatest, because you now understand the delta. You understand what you could have been doing if your agents were much better, right? You understand like, oh, I can achieve so much more if I only had orchestration, if only the agents were smart enough to do what I wanted and with the way that I wanted to be done, right? So like the companies, it will take time for companies that have no AI in them to get there. Companies on the way, they will obviously learn with the rate of progress with the models. It's going to be easier and easier to get there.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Tell me more about your talk tomorrow. I think people would like to know.
Yeah, so I am talking about whether or not AI engineers, which is basically engineers at this point, there's no software engineers in June 30th of 2026 that handwrite code. Maybe there's one in Serbia, but most people just like babysit agents, and those agents write the code for them. The question now is, at this conference, whether or not they also need to read the code, whether or not the engineers need to look at the outputs of the agentic coded systems that they run. It's a very big question because specifically right now we're sitting in this beautiful lounge by Cerebras. It's called the Token Billionaires Lounge. People here only get access and this little badge only if they spend over 1 billion tokens a week, which is around 4 billion tokens a month. It's a lot of money to be spent on agents. You cannot do this by prompting. It's only with loops and agentic system that you can achieve that. And this is kind of like the frontier of AI engineering. None of these people read the code because it's obviously impossible to read as much code. On the other side, there are people who say, hey, we're moving too fast, everything's breaking, there's a lot of bugs in those agentic systems. So my talk is about figuring out where we are on this curve and placing people on this curve as well.
Okay, I will definitely attend your talk
Yeah,
tomorrow
please,
and
thank you so much for
record
coming.
some. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was Alex from ThursdAI.
Let's go. And this is my wife, Daria Volkov.